All right, guys, welcome to our international podcast. Below the belt, who vexelos. Guys, do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear today. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. We're going to have a guest dropping by. Ain't going to tell you who it is. Leaving that as a surprise for you. We're going to have a guest dropping by. Ah, not going to tell you who it's going to be. Let us know if you're receiving us loud and clear, guys. Do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. As I said, we got a guest who's going to be dropping by. Ain't gonna let you folks know. I want to leave it as a surprise to you guys. I want to leave that as a surprise to you. We have a guest who's going to be dropping by. Beverly Trim. We see you there, Beverly. And I see you, Brenda Braffett and Crystal Simon and Patricia Asana. Thanks, Patricia. Technician Patricia's on the job today. She says she's hearing us loud and clear. You're going to keep this work, Patricia. You're going to keep this work. You're quick. You're quick on your feet. Good to have you folks joining us. Roderick Henry joining us as well, and all of the other folks. I see Barbara Ralph says loud and clear. All the technicians show up for work today. Good to have you, Barbara and Gloria Chester. Gloria girl, that black cake still got a taste in my mouth. It's the black cake. You have any more left back, Gloria? Good to have you, Gloria Chester. And Claire Alexis Charmley Richmond is here. Good to have you, Claire and Dolly Anderson. Rachel Wolford is here as well. Of course, technician Gloria has just signed on. Good to have you, technician Gloria, just signed on, and all the other folks who are joining us. We're on the live. Somebody's trying to call. Clearly, they're not watching the live with us. Clearly, they're not on with us. We're going to try to return that call ASAP. Patricia Asana, Maureen Williams. We see you there, Maureen. Good to see you, Maureen, and all the other folks who are joining us. Marlon Thomas. Marlon, how you doing? I hear your voice in a little bit. Today, believe it or not, I felt like doing a call-in. I felt like doing a talk back Monday. I hear your voice in a little bit. We had 2 weeks of Parliament, 2 weeks in the National Assembly, rather, scrutinizing as well, debating the budget 2023 first and foremost. And then we got into the scrutiny of the estimate of expenditures for 2023. And, them boys can spend a lot of money, but what are they going to spend it on? That's the trouble we got. What are they going to spend it on? That's the real trouble we got with them. And we're going to be discussing some of that, folks, with our guests. I ain't going to tell you all who the guest is. I want to surprise you all. I ain't going to tell you all. I want to leave it as a little surprise for you guys who are going to be joining us. I'll leave it as a little surprise. But good to see each and every one of you. Good to be back on our podcast, Below the Belt. Great to be back here with you guys. We love having you folks here with us. How y'all doing now? How y'all doing? Thanks to all the folks who joined us in the morning program this morning. Folks, y'all pick up on these shares. What y'all had for breakfast this morning? And we want you guys to do the same for this broadcast. Share. You know what you got to do, folks. Yvonne Rodriguez, we see you there, Yvonne. Yvonne says, blessed Monday, Sherrod. I love that. A blessed Monday to you as well, Yvonne. I receive that in my spirit that we're blessed. And I'm blessed. That you're blessed. We all are blessed. Yep. Good to have you, Maureen Williams, and Facebook user. I see Eula Lafferman Rubens is here. Good to have you, Eula. And I see we have Barbara Ralph, of course. I see we have Leslyn Charles. Leslyn, how you doing? How you? Like somebody tell y'all who we guess gonna be. Like somebody tell y'all. Our guest gonna be dropping by in just a little bit, folks. But I want to get some preliminary stuff out of the way, good folks. How y'all doing now? Let me start there. How y'all doing? Good to have you folks here with us, Dolly and Valletta Brummel. Valletta, how you doing? Edward Gonzalez from the Bronx. Good to have you, Edward. I'm so happy that you guys are here with us. Share the live. Those of you joining us on Twitter, how are you all doing in the Twitterverse, guys? I see some changes coming to Twitter. My Lord. I hope Elon Musk don't overdo himself. Sometimes we own what's telling me, I want to let y'all know that. Sometimes we own what's telling me. Sometimes it's like that. We own what's telling me. Folks, you now join us. Amanza is going to be joining us in just a little bit. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. We got to get some housekeeping issues out of the way. I hope we don't change it up too much and it becomes ghetto. I hope. I hope not. Folks, how you all doing, man? We are super, super, super happy that you folks are here with us. We are happy that you all are here. We're going to be talking with Amanza Walton-Desir in just a little bit. Good folks, in just a little bit. GT boy, Loretta Argyle. I see Glenn, Natasha is here. Daphne, Aaron is here as well. Paula Phillips and Anna Gordon, among the many who joined our podcast. We are delighted. I say we are delighted that you folks are here with us. How are you guys doing? Those of you who are catching us from one of the islands, folks of the Caribbean Sea, a very good afternoon to each and every one of you. It's just after 12 o'clock where we are, folks, broadcasting to you live from the national from the national capital city, broadcasting to you live. Good to have you folks here. We below the belt. How y'all doing? Folks, I just being a little facetious today. I just being a little facetious. Y'all heard that? We below the belt, folks. We're ready to go. We trust that you guys are well. Claudia, we see you, Claudia Gibson John. Good to have you, Claudia. Great to have you and all the other guys. Tommy Gibbs. I see Hubert Allen is here with us as well. Folks, if you're in one of the islands, you're close to the Caribbean Sea, you seeing that blue water, the white sand. Enjoy it for all of us, man. Enjoy it for all of us. I wish I was there. Soaking my feet, folks. Folks, y'all plan to get somewhere, get out somewhere for somewhere, whether it's locally, whether it's in the region, it's internationally. Start making some summer plans. I had a fantastic time when I was in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think it was in November or was it October? And Antigua as well. Had a fantastic time. I felt like my whole quality of life improved. Being among the mountains, smelling that fresh air. Oh, I envy some of y'all. I envy some of y'all. Folks, don't get complacent and miss it. Sometimes you get numb to the beautiful scenes right outside your door. Don't let me get so. Don't let me go down like that. Joe King, good to have you here, Joe, and all the other guys who are joining us. Let's get, as I said, some housekeeping matters out of the way, and then we're going to dial back, folks. We're going to dial back. We want to bring you guys up to speed. Some what's happening around the world, in the region, and close to where we are. Some what's trending right outside. Oh, Father, this head teacher there in Shuri at this private school was found dead along with her husband and her 7-year-old daughter on the school grounds. On the school grounds. That's what they're telling her. And this is head teacher Emma Patterson. Pattison. Emma Pattison. Yep. They say it's a prestigious school in the UK. Brace it over for this one. It costs £42,000 a year. £42,000 a year to go to Epsom College, where Emma Pattison, 45 years old, was the HM there, the principal there for the last 6 months. Just took over, folks. They don't have too much details on this issue besides the fact that the head teacher, her husband, who I think was 36, 39, and their 7-year-old daughter was found dead. I'm rather suspecting, based on the nuances, that was a murder-suicide. I rather suspect was a murder-suicide based on what the report is saying, but they're not stating specifically and explicitly. You see, when you got money in this life, you see when you're up there, you all know what I'm talking about. So we don't know precisely what, how this whole family, met their demise. You have the head of the private school, Mrs. Pattison, their 7-year-old daughter, and her husband, all found dead there. So something is up, and we're gonna know what's going down before too soon. But they had me there, folks, at the £42,000, right, to go to this school per year. Per year. Wow. Our thoughts and prayers go out to this family, the community, the friends, the loved ones. Thoughts and prayers go out to them. When you think you got problems, my Lord, if you have £42,000 to send a child to school, you must got a lot of money in the reserves for other things. You know, boggles the mind. £42,000, and somehow this family, the head of the school, her husband, and 7-year-old daughter, found dead at the school. Found dead at the school. Yep, and that's one of the things we're following at our end. That's just one of the things that we are following. Our thoughts and prayers again to the Patterson extended family, yep, and the friends and loved one, the community there at Epsom College in Shuri, for £2,000 a year. They had me there, folks. I got a little distracted. But that being said, folks, I don't know how many of you been feeling the pulse or have your hands on the pulse of what's happening internationally and locally and all around. But a lot of the Anglican churches, the leaders and the Catholic churches seem to be lockstep with Pope Francis's progressive thinking, again saying that homosexuality is not a crime. Pope Francis, along with some what do you call it? My thoughts are on evangelical, but I know it's not evangelical. Other church leaders. My Lord, I should have had lunch before starting the program. Yeah, have been talking more and more about homosexuality not being a crime. The latest is the Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago, Jason Gordon, who agreed with the Pope Francis, that is, that homosexuality is not a crime. And, those of you who've been following would know that the Caribbean Court of Justice, for our own small part here in this part of the world's hemisphere, Caribbean Court of Justice had struck down laws we had in the book banning cross-dressing. I don't know how many of you follow that. That was within the last 2 years. But it's still in our books here that homosexuality, buggery rather, not homosexuality per se, is against the law. Against the law. And this is something that as a legislator, I can tell you I'm going to be watching very, very closely. But more and more, again, I see more of the leaders in the Catholic Church, as well as the why is the denomination slipping me? The Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, the Protestants, as well. More and more have come out to say that homosexuality is not criminal. And these things happen, folks. These things happen. Things people once believed were illegal, with the effluxion of time, what people call progress. Your thoughts change on different aspects of life. And I think that's the moment we're in. If you guys haven't been thinking about it in that way, if you haven't been thinking about it like that, more and more, I see church leaders are coming out to say, again, homosexuality is not a crime, and we're in this very, very progressive, so that's what they call this very, very progressive age. Right? Roderick Henry, I see you there, Roderick, and Yvonne Ramasar. I see Randolph Scott is here with us as well. And Randolph says slavery was not a crime for them either. I hear you, my brother. I hear you. Well, when that day comes, I'm gonna be fighting against that tooth and nail. When that specific day comes, all right? Specific day comes, fight against that tooth and nail. So the Archbishop Jason Gordon of Trinidad, those are his thoughts. Again, lockstep with the Pope Francis on that one. Folks, closer to where we are, y'all find a little extra today. Gail, Junior Holder, a little extra today. I'm so happy that you folks are here with us. That's what really got me. I'm so happy that you folks are here with us. Closer to where we are, folks, we're still following what happened at Hope Town, over the weekend with this. Is it CRX? Is the brand of car, folks? I just drive. I don't worry about brand and all that, right? But this young man plowed into some folks there in Hope Town. They said the folks were on the pavement when he crashed his sports car into them. Right, and I don't know exactly what transpired on the ground there, but we're being told that I saw some reports rather that suggest that the young man was assaulted thereafter, and his car set alight. Don't know exactly what led up to all of that, but they're telling us that the young man was allowed to leave the police station, go home for Prado, and drive himself to the hospital there in Babis. We're following that, folks, and we're going to have more of that to you. Luckily, thus far, Crystal Simon, there has been no loss of life. Thus far, luckily, no loss of lives. And they tell us that the two persons who were hit by the vehicle are at hospital and, of course, receiving medical attention. And that's what they're telling us on that front, folks. And that's what the kind folks are telling us on that front. Again, we're so happy that you guys are here with us. Do take the opportunity to share the live, to smash that emoji button. Partner with us as well. Good folks, you all know by now, thankfully, or, for better or for worse, we don't run on water. And it takes something, folks. It takes something to keep our programs going. And we're thankful for your love, your support, and your generosity. And lastly, folks, and things that are trending and we're following at this, and the High Court has ruled that a coal miner and the Ghana Geology and Mines Commission trespassed on some Amerindian lands there in region number 7. Region number 7. This thing is going on for way too long. Way too long. And we've been following these developments at this end very, very acutely. We've been following the events at this end. And folks, listen to me. We got to treat each other with fairness. There's only some people who want to make all the money in this country, Some people by themselves want to make all the money. How they looking for y'all? The report is telling us here, and we stashed this bit here from Demwara Waves. Demwara Waves says the High Court has blocked a mining company and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission from mining or permitting mining, respectively, right, on village lands at Jowala in Region 7. This is the Kayuni Mazaruni region at Jowala in Region 7. Right? Just good for them. Shucks. In too many instances, our indigenous brothers and sisters aren't getting the benefit from the very land beneath their feet. From the very land beneath their feet. And if you guys have been following us, folks, just threw that in there to wake us up. If you guys have been following us, we've been following this same kind of activity in terms of mining on indigenous lands and, almost have the people under duress. People making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on these lands. What? In indigenous people don't know about money, ta? Indigenous people don't know about money, ta? Right? And we followed and chronicled some of this at Chinese Landing. We told you all about that. The Carib community at Chinese Landing had a similar issue. We told you guys about that. In addition to that, you got a similar issue to that that occurred at Isenaru. The Akawayo community there. This is, again, is Middle Mazaruni. Like Joala. Similar thing. And then you had a similar issue as well at Murudi Mountain, in the Murudi community there. This is now Deep South Rupununi. Similar issues there. Right? And I say it again, Dolly. I say it again, Neon. I say it again, Wilton Blue. What the, and this is double for them. What is the land rights issue to our indigenous brothers and sisters, is the gas, oil and gas issue to all of us as Guyanese. Because that well belongs to all of us in those oil wells out there. But we ain't feeling it. We ain't feeling it. That well belongs to all of us there. You know, whether you're at home or you're abroad, you're a Guyanese, some of that belongs to you. Right? Some of that belongs to you. And I dare say, whatever the sharing, the hamper, the cash grant, you go and collect it, it is yours. You ain't begging no favors. $781.9 billion is the budget. Some of that belong to you. Get your businesses registered and do what you gotta do. Get a piece of the pie. I ain't gonna tell you don't go and get something. Come on, folks. That money belongs to all of us. Right? Can they see, Narayan, some of the money is your own. That's $781.9 billion. Huh? Why is only a 1% was making all the money in this country? Over and over we see this. Joala, Esenaru, Chinese Landing, Marudi Mountain. We are rich beyond measure, but you got some people holding up with wealth. May God have mercy on them. May the Father himself have mercy on them boys. Starting up with things. How they're wicked. And those are some of the issues that are trending, good folks. Some of the issues that are trending. Starting up with things. Folks, let me see if we can get in as promised. Member of Parliament, Amanza Walton-Desir. Let me try to see if I can bring her in. You know, sometimes things don't always think correctly. But our fingers crossed at this end. We're going to try and bring in our sister, Amanza Walton-Desir, who have had the privilege of being with all week last week during the sitting of the National Assembly, along with the other members of Parliament. And I think we did what we needed to get done. Let me see if we have Amanza here, folks. Apologies, give me a second. And let me know if you can hear her when she comes on. Amanza, very good afternoon. Do we have you?
Mr. Duncan, I am here.
Excellent, folks. Can you hear Amanza? I'm gonna turn down some of the background music. Amanza, say good afternoon to some of our viewers.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am getting a terrible feedback.
You're getting a feedback. Let me see if I can. I can walk in the back here now.
Okay.
Guys, can you hear our delightful guest? Please let me know. I'm going to try to fix, if I can, this feedback issue. Oh boy, let me see.
I mean,
I'm hearing you crystal clear.
affecting the guests, I would proceed.
Guys, are you hearing Amanza? Are you hearing any feedback? I see Beryl is on. Beryl says loud and clear, which means she can hear you loud and clear. Let us know if you guys are getting any feedback there. Maxine still says loud and clear. Manzo, you sound as though you are well rested, you're fired up, and you are ready to go.
Well, fired up and ready to go. Had quite a busy weekend. We were meeting some folks in some of the riverine areas yesterday.
Talk to us a little bit about that. And the folks are saying they're not hearing any feedback. So if you can bear with this, Amanza, our apologies.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm ready to proceed.
Great. So let us start with this weekend and your activities over the weekend.
It was just the usual, reaches that we will do. A number of people ask for us to come into their areas, and so once our schedule permitted, we were always happy to oblige. So I was quite happy to be in the it was Demerara River we were in yesterday. My family comes from Dalgin in the Demerara River, so it was good to go back to be able to interact with a few folks and retrace my childhood steps.
Excellent, excellent. And Manzu, you go into some of those places, as I was telling our listeners and our viewers, the quality of your life improves. You don't get all of the, if you want to, but all the corruption, of the environment and everything
It
else.
does. It does. There is something so regenerative about sitting by the river, just experiencing that cool breeze and sitting in nature that is very, very, wholesome. And so I think that is the reason why I may sound as re-energized and reinvigorated as I do.
Well, I jealous, I jealous, Manzo, I don't know if you know this, but I was born by the river in a little tent.
Yes.
And ever since that day, I've been running. Ever since.
But let's hope the change comes and very soon.
Yeah. Folks, I invited a man to this afternoon because we wanted to talk a little bit about. I saw an editorial over the weekend. We touched on it briefly this morning on FYI about what's happening in the economy locally. And I wanted to circle back to it because, when a man's in our own strength, tell you what is contained in this editorial as she has, and I have done so, and Jarita and all the other folks, you got some boys who can say, oh, it's them rabble roses again. It's them propaganda set from the parliamentary opposition again. But here is Tabak News. They're middle of the road. Sometimes Tabak News is lash me. I see the hand. You, Amanza, in a caricature just the other day. They seem to take a
Yes.
liking to your fine threads and such and so forth. So pretty middle of the
Yes.
line. And so I'm circling back to that this afternoon. I'm so grateful to have your company, Amanza.
Thank you. It's very good to be here. And I think, when we look through that editorial, it really does highlight a lot of what we have been saying. We
Correct is
have been
right.
saying this for some time that this government has no idea how to manage an economy. They have specialized in a lot of eye service, and it's bereft of planning at a fundamental level. And so, what we will continue to see are the ill effects of their inability to plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid that it will come back to bite us as Guyanese. I think what is needed now more than ever is for us as Guyanese to begin to take a dispassionate look at the development of our country and to understand that whoever we may support politically, they have a fundamental duty to deliver a certain quality of life and a certain quality of development to the Guyanese people. This is not a favor that they are doing us. This is our right as citizens of Guyana. So we have to be able to um, begin to promulgate and promote that mindset and to hold this government accountable for the expenditure of our monies. The reason that money is coming out of Barjagneo's bank account or Ashley Singh's bank account, these are monies that belong to the people of Guyana. This is our national patrimony. And so they must be able to account for its expenditure, one, and to demonstrate that it is capable of investing our monies properly and wisely. And so far, they've been doing an abysmal job at it. And I think we have to hold them accountable. I was reading with some dread that the Skeldon Sugar Factory, the chimney has fallen down now.
Yeah. Yeah. Signs of the times.
And and you will recall when Barjagnia was trumpeting this project as a transformational
Yeah.
one, and
Yeah.
without it, sugar would be dead. When we pointed out to him the the um, the unwise course of action that he was taking. You heard that we were against development, etc. Now the chimney has collapsed, and it is there as a testament for everyone to see that this man that they promote to be so visionary and so bold lacks vision, but he is a snake oil salesman that has
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mastered the art of the sleight of hand. And we have to stop falling for it now, and we have
Correct
to
is
begin
right.
to demand proper development.
Correct is right. I think he's hunting a legacy project. He wants to be remembered for a long time in this country, but he has failed so far, and you've articulated it so eloquently. Whether it's his skeleton,
Well,
yeah,
I will tell you what he will be remembered for. He will be remembered for a presidency that saw Guyana being plunged into being blacklisted for corruption, into becoming a narco state. He'll be remembered for the murder of over 1,000 young black men. He will be remembered as presiding over the reign of terror of Guyanese. That is what he will be remembered for.
yeah, 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 yeah. And the projects like the Skeleton Sugar Factory, the fiber optic cable, you got the Chedi Jagan
The
International
specialty
Airport, the
hospital.
specialty
I
hospital,
mean,
a mile of
the
falls.
Shanley issue,
The list goes on and on and on. And here's this
the
editorial.
ban.
Here's this editorial. Again, he is the one who's pulling the strings.
Uh,
Don't worry, Ashley, this whole thing, but senior minister with responsibility for finance within the office of the president. All of that is to give Jagdio more leverage over the economy. So the whole show is his own. And here's this editorial in Starbuck News, written on the 4th. This was on Saturday. Rice is done with. It can't pay. And here Starbuck News is quoting a rice farmer. Is quoting a rice farmer who is farming over 60 acres of rice. This is the thermostat here, right? This is taking the temperature in the rice sector. Rice is done with. That's what the rice farmer is saying. If he says so, I don't plant rice. I gotta believe him. Rice is done with. And again, what is at the heart of this editorial? Sabakun said last year in the budgetary forecast, sugar was supposed to take off, rice was supposed to take off, the mining sector was supposed to take off, gold and so on. All of that has contracted. And Starbuck News seems to take issue with the fact that here's Ashley, in their own words, pulling numbers out of thin air because he's forecasting again a big year for rice, a big year for sugar, a big year for bauxite, and what's not, what's not, what's not. And they're asking the question, where's he getting these numbers from? Where's he pulling these figures from? Amanza?
I couldn't tell you. I am not Houdini. I don't know where he is purporting to get these numbers from. But what we know is that his predictions over the last, or his projections rather, failed miserably, and every sector that he projected growth in fact, contracted, and some by double digits.
Correct.
And so, again, you're seeing a demonstration of this government's incompetence when it comes to managing the affairs of the people of Guyana and this economy. I think what the PPP does not understand is that development is an integrated process.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
Mm-hmm.
have to have an integrated approach to development. This is a rice farmer bemoaning the fact that rice is no longer making sense. And who are we, as you said, to doubt him?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the government's lack of capacity to understand the integrated nature of development really shines through in this issue. Because, look, as you know, they have announced this massive infrastructural push. And so they're building a lot of roads and bridges, etc. But with such a massive infrastructure program, that has negative implications for the rice industry.
Correct. Correct.
Because what you will find happening, for example, is that you will have the increased cost of certain services, that are essential for rice production, things like transport and labor. And so it really does reduce the the competitiveness of that industry. And rice farmers are finding themselves now in very difficult positions. So this is why it is important to always have a balanced approach to development, because one thing affects another. The other issue, for example, is something that I highlighted in my budget presentation, this issue of our lack of investment in our sea and river defenses. We, as a low-lying coastal state, should be placing a premium in terms of a priority um, ranking for sea and river defense infrastructure. But in this budget, we have actually decreased spending.
Wow.
Now, you
Wow.
know that all it takes is for one cocodor to break away,
Correct.
to flood a rice field, for the crop to be destroyed, because of course it's salt water, and we know about the issue of salinity and how that negatively um, impacts the rice production. So, as I said, this government is not taking a holistic approach to development. They are spending heavily and quickly on infrastructure because it provides them with the greatest opportunity to siphon off and to thief the people of Guyana's money. And this is why you are seeing this big emphasis on roads. And this is why also you're seeing them failing to curb the poor standard of work that these contractors are putting out, because there is more money to be spent on remedial works. So it's just about kickback for the boys. That is all it is about. It is not
Mm-hmm.
about the
Mm-hmm.
people of Guyana and the quality of life that they deserve. This
Mm-hmm.
is about the friends, the families, and the favorites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you on that one. And this is Sabuk News talking here, that says that this, and I'm quoting, this looks very much like a 94-page cut and paste budget speech, with the minister simply picking numbers out of thin air for what were once the three key sectors in the economy. The editorial goes on to say the truth is that one, gold production is probably doing far better than the declarations suggest because of the rampant smuggling in the sector. Two, no, Gaistuko will not be profitable again. So this hairy fairy thing about them opening back this estate, I mean, who is selling sugar to? They're running a charity, not a business. They will have to be running a charity. If your production cost is far above your selling price, it's a charity you are running. Can't be anything else. So Sabak News said, no, Gaisuko will not be profitable again, as Minister Mustafa proclaimed. It really should be placed under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. You hear a story? This is Starbucks News editorial saying that Gaisuko should be placed under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. As far as the rice sector, it is probably in bad shape as sugar. It is, let me read it correctly. As for the rice sector, it is probably in as bad a shape as sugar. Right? So where's Ashley getting these lofty forecasts from 15% growth, 20% growth in some of these sectors? They're fooling the Guyanese people.
Sure, look. And I think I'm glad you ended on that note, because the PPP are who they are. I have said that they are a mafia that masquerades as a government, and we are seeing that every day. This country and its patrimony is continually divided between the people who comprise the top 1 or 2% of this country. Nothing gets down to the poor and the ordinary working class Guyanese. The contracts are distributed among themselves. Everything is distributed between a handful and divvied up between a handful of people in Guyana.
Mm-hmm,
This is
mm-hmm.
on demonstration for all Guyanese to see. The question remains, whether we as Guyanese citizens believe that we are entitled to more, and two, whether we will demand more from this government. Well, I say that one, as a Guyanese, we are entitled to more, and two, we have to demand more from this government. The PPP has demonstrated who they are. Failed projects after failed projects after failed projects. And let us not be fooled by the PR campaign that Irfan Ali is on. That is all it is, a public relations stunt to, to persuade Guyanese people that he is a certain kind of individual, approachable, etc., etc. The truth is that in no functioning country would a president have to move into a region to ensure that basic issues such as water and electricity and healthcare are taken care of. You pay people. We pay people to do this. They must work, and they must do their work, and they must deliver results on behalf of the people of Guyana. So for you to be in awe of the fact that Jagdeo was in Region 6 says that we need to check ourselves, because we clearly must appreciate what a functioning country looks like. We have functioning local government bodies, and they must do their work. The CEO of GWI is paid a fat salary. He must do his work.
Paid more than a minister.
These people must be made to live up to their contractual obligations to the people of Guyana. So Irfan Ali doesn't get any points from me. He, as the president, ought to be engaged in the far more weighty matters that must, inform our development. Things like how we prepared for climate resilience. What is our foreign policy now as a petrol state? What direction are we taking this country in? These are the matters that he must be consuming himself with, crafting a big, bold, and broad vision for this nation. Not delivering prescription to a pensioner. I am glad that the pensioner got his prescription, by the way. But somebody should be made to account for why. He didn't have it in the first place.
Clearly, systems aren't working.
The systems are not working. And the systems cannot be made to work by one man having a PR stunt on the ground. We are doing ourselves a disservice when we continue to subscribe to that manner and method of governance, because what we are doing is that we are undermining the accountability of our institutions to the people of Guyana. That's the first thing. And two, we are setting up ourselves for a cult of personality type leadership, where we are looking on who is the person instead of what are the systems that are in place to govern the country. Are our institutions working? Are they functioning correctly?
Yeah. We're in a bad spot. And again, I want to refer to Starbucks News here in their editorial of February 4th on Saturday. And again, aptly titled, Rice done with. Ain't no coming back. Here the editorial says, behind, well, let me take a little, just before this portion. It says, this is how rampant increases in the cost of living and the increases in the cost of doing business are at the heart of the country's current economic quandary and are dealing a blow to our exports. Starbucks News says, Amanza, the Dutch disease is already here, even as the president insists on overheating the economy even more. I mean, this is criminal, almost. Overheating the economy even more, Starbucks News says. It goes on to say here that this flies in the face of the IMF report, which warned in June that a large surge in public investment could add inflationary pressures and affect competitiveness of our non-oil sector. All right.
And you're seeing it. You're seeing that because rice farmers have to now compete with the government for transportation services and the cost of those, for labor services and the costs of those. And so this is why you have to be able to grow your economy at a rate that everything balances out. The rising tide must float all boats. But what is happening is that this tide boring holes in some people's boats,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so people are drowning. And the sad reality is that this exposes us to the volatility of oil prices, because we understand very, very well that oil is a commodity that could be up today, something happens at the next end of the world, and it's down tomorrow. And so to place the health of the Guyanese economy
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
such, to place the health in such hands, it's really irresponsible.
And
It's
and
irresponsible.
and just to think, you got Ashley there, you got Jack Leo, you got Colasar there as well, three former and one current Minister of Finance. And we're in this country that we're in, finally in the editorial, and this to me was the Donna, Colin Alsop, Maria Vere, and Ingrid Carter. Nicole Cole, this was the Donna for me in this editorial of the 4th of February. Behind the headlines and the rosy forecast, rural Guyana remains impoverished and increasingly abandoned, with the cost of living making it harder each day for families to feed themselves. This is real. Cabinet ministers in the budget debate rebutted the populist view about increasing salaries and social safety nets, preferring to point out all the other areas they were assisting people to have more purchasing power. So if the Gale will steal for build a house, I know who building the house will steal. That's number one. They feel that's money saved, right? And finally, Sabak News says it's not working, and perhaps that is why Minister Singh sought to announce, why Minister Singh didn't announce one statistics buried in the appendices, a migration rate in 2022 of 16.6 per 1,000 citizens, among the top in the world. Yep. People don't run from good.
And so you are seeing in the stats that this government is failing.
Yeah.
And I think appreciably,
Yeah.
whilst the APNU AFC government was not perfect, as is understandable, having been out of power for 23 years,
Mm-hmm.
what Guyanese saw was a far more thoughtful and well thought out approach to the development of Guyana and of Guyanese. And I think having been able to accomplish that without one drop of this oil money
Mm-hmm.
that the PPPC has access to is a remarkable feat. And I think if Guyanese want to be um, honest in and of themselves, they will see that governance was appreciably better under the APNU AFC coalition, as was shown in our improved transparency and corruption ratings, etc., and coming off of the blacklist. Those foundational matters that really sets a nation up for success. These guys are simply engaging in window dressing without addressing the matters of the foundation.
Correct is right.
And we understand that if a building has a weak foundation, it will not stand. And so if we continue with this PPPC administration, what we will be doing is bequeathing a legacy of a failed state to our children.
Mm-hmm. 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 Correct is right. Correct is right. Well, the title of the headline, the header for the editorial, that is the header for the editorial, I think says it all. Rice is done with. It can't repay. I think some Guyanese, and I can't blame them too much, were hoping against hope that leopards change their stripes. This country always do terrible under the PPP economically. They like these big projects to kind of distract you, right? You hear one laptop for family say, we go in places, failure, right? We can get power from the
Window
yeah,
dressing.
window dressing.
Window dressing.
Window dressing. We can light half the quarantine with power from Skeldon. We still waiting, right?
You're
Everybody can
still
get
waiting.
free
You're
Wi-Fi
still
in your
waiting.
homes with a fiber optic cable. We still holding for that, right? Still holding for that. And the list goes
Decades
on and
after.
on. The list goes on and on.
And this is where I believe, Sharon, that it behooves us as Guyanese to stand up and to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. This government has mastered the art of propaganda, and you have to give them that. They are good at propaganda, but I believe that we are in the information age now. And so we are able, with the click of a button, to go research the statistics and to go and to get the facts for ourselves.
Yeah.
And as responsible citizens, that is what we must do. So that when we go to the polls, it doesn't matter if the man in State House don't look like me. If the facts tell me that my family, my children, my community will fare better under this person, then certainly I have a moral duty
Mm-hmm.
to vote along those lines
Mm-hmm.
and not to vote along the lines of race. And because, oh, this is always um, how we voted, etc. What you are doing is imposing failure on your nation.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we've got to begin to engage our citizens with the view of
Yeah.
bringing this type of awareness and understanding and your privileges and benefits as a citizen.
But Amanza, I think some of it is unfortunate because, and it's like you said, you got to begin to hold the PP accountable. But I feel even in doing so, people hold the APNU AFC coalition differently accountable than the whole PPP, right? If we were
And
in this
and
kind of
it
conundrum,
is really
yeah,
it is really, I think, an unfortunate situation because you hear, you would have heard, and I would have heard in the National Assembly that these same PPPC ministers, when they're challenged about providing timelines by which things will be done, their response is, these things take time.
yeah,
Progress takes time. But in the same breath, they turn around and say that the AP and UAFC did not do X, Y, Z in
It's
their
1 o'clock.
5 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the hypocrisy for me is galling
correct, that's
because
right.
they also speak as if Guyana's history began in 2015 and that for the last 26 of the past 31 years, they were not at the helm of government. You, in one breath, are saying progress takes time, but you expect the AP and UAFC in the 3 good years that they had to undo all of the damage that you did to this country in the 23 years prior? And I think that is the hypocrisy of the PPPC that we have to continue to point out. When they're failing, progress takes time. But the AP and UAFC was supposed to have delivered the sun, the moon, the stars, water from the moon in the 3 good years that they had before they derailed the government in that no confidence motion.
Wow. Avanza, during the course of the last election, I know there were lots of people who were disappointed. I heard some people, there was a chorus saying, uh, the former president should have held on a little longer. And there was this palpable fear of sanctions. Well, I know what's the difference. I don't know what's the difference because I feel like is somebody sanctioning we, right? I don't think people can believe to understand, can begin to understand the economic
the
quandary as
PPP,
the editorial
the
points out.
PPP, they continue to be a blight on this nation. And I have no apologies for saying that. And I want to be clear, I'm not speaking about the people that support them. I'm speaking about that cabal
Mm-hmm.
that they have that occupy the executive and the 1% of their friends and families that continue to rape and pillage and plunder the resources of this country, wasting it on roads
Yeah.
that are costing us hundreds of millions of dollars, and in 6 months they're sliding into the canal. How much more could that money not have done to improve the lives of Guyanese? Why hasn't the government announced yet a food voucher program to help people to meet this high cost of living? Why haven't they yet announced a transportation subsidy program to help our children get to school? The fact is that they do not care about Guyanese, but what they do is that they run into communities and they say, oh, the APNU ALC never did anything for you. And it is unfortunate that some people believe it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Right.
What we have to begin to do is to examine the quality of life under the APN UFC government. Crime was down. Now you have people walking. You have to be in fear because if somebody could come up, choke you, and another one robs you.
Yeah. With
Crime is
impunity.
on the
Yeah. Yeah.
increase.
Yeah.
The wildness on the road is on the increase. Maternity deaths are increasing. It is it is a grim story all around,
Yep. Yep.
save and except for those who are benefiting from the corruption of this government.
Yeah. And it's just a shame, and we haven't been able to touch all of it. Over the weekend, I saw former Minister Patterson pointed out the fact that you got a school in Linden, Bamia, way behind schedule. Everybody said the people who you had in the contract, you not qualified, they didn't want to hear. They didn't want to hear. 7 months left on the contract, and the school 20% complete. Instances after instance, I saw Deodat in there. This, according to them, issued a statement concerning the contractors who were fixing the road far up from your end, Amanza, a diamond, right? Trying, quote unquote, trying to lay down the right act because the road is behind and the commuters, they are complaining every day. Every
Lay down what
day.
riot
I
act.
don't know if Satan can
They
cast out
they
Satan.
can how you can cancel the own demons. That problem is a creation of the PPPC administration because they have failed to right size the public sector investment program. We warned them that with a 41% efficiency gap, there will be significant wastage. And I don't think people understand just what that means. It means that for every dollar that this government spends on infrastructure, because our procurement system is broken, because it is corrupted, because the capacity locally does not exist to execute and monitor these works, it means that 41 cents on every dollar will be wasted. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine what 41 cents on every dollar could do to improve the daily lives of Guyanese? We are living in poverty and in squalor, and we have no reason to be living like this.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Who lead matters. Who lead matters. And I think, as we struggle through this year here and the cost of living continues to climb, inflation continues to eat away at our finances, we gotta make some choices. And another discussion we gotta have. I see the slightest thing happens now and situations go from 0 to 60 real fast. I was telling our viewers earlier, I think all of that is steep in the economics of the moment and how people are hurting and people are venting
Sharon,
in various
people
ways.
are hurting. People are hurting. And so people are finding ways of outlet. And so, and the unfortunate thing is that it is not always the most constructive means of outlet. So you'll find violence in the homes increasing. You'll find violence against children and women increasing because people are under pressure. But
Hmm.
I am eternally hopeful, Sharon, because I understand one thing. that if the people of Guyana say that enough is enough, this problem will stop tomorrow.
Mhm.
But it is up to us
Correct.
to
Correct.
understand that we deserve better and that the government is a servant of the people and not vice versa.
Correct is right. Correct is right. Correct is right. Member of Parliament, Amanza Walton-Desir, I want to thank you for stopping by and putting context to some of what we've been reading over the weekend. And know that we'll continue to read and we got to make sense of it, for the Guyanese people. Because, my God, we're in a bad spot. And I don't care what big
And
projects they talk
Sharon,
about, we're in a bad spot. Go right ahead, Amanza.
before I go, I really want to remind the public that every Tuesday, opposition MPs and interested citizens are in front of GCOM promoting their and in pursuance rather of their right to peacefully assemble to call for a clean voters list. I think the PPP wants to distract us from the urgency and the importance of having a clean voters list. And what they're doing, they're hoping to distract us from this issue, and so that they will be able to make use of that bloated list, which they did in 2020, to try to foist themselves again on the people of Guyana. If we are going to have a chance of ridding ourselves of this PPPC government, it has to start with the cleansing of the voters list. It is preposterous that we are having a voters list as large as our population. And what it does is that it is for listen to me. When you, as a citizen of Guyana, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to line up in the hot sun to cast your vote, but there are people on that list who are dead, who not in the jurisdiction, but votes are being cast in their names. What that is doing is making a mockery of your sacrifice.
Correct is right.
And so it has to be one man, one vote. One live man, one vote. One live woman, one vote. The PPP does not want to cleanse the voters list. They do not even want to use biometrics at the place of poll. And what we are asking for, look, is if Sherrod comes into the polling station to vote, Sherrod must be able to put his index finger on a machine that will confirm that Sherrod is Sherrod.
Mm-hmm.
They do not
Mm-hmm.
even want that. And so when they come to us with talks about rigors, we keep saying to them, well, if you're so sure about yourself, cleanse the list. If you're so sure about yourself, introduce biometrics at the place of poll.
Correct is right.
But they do not
Correct is
want to
right.
do it because the truth is that the recount revealed that they are sitting in the office of government as a result of invalid votes. So I say to everybody, when they come to tell you nonsense about rigging and who rig, remind them that a recount has happened and remind them that if they are the so-called guardians of democracy, cleanse the list and introduce biometrics at the place of poll.
Precisely. 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 On that note, Amanza, I want to thank you for dropping by. And no doubt, I see we've got a little over program time, but our audience is still here, and not because of me. I can tell you that. Wink, wink. Thanks for dropping
Always
by,
a
Amanza.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great, awesome. Take good care.
All right. Have a good one. Yes, will do.
Awesome.
Bye.
Folks, it was our privilege having Amanza here with us. I see you, Simone Kennedy and Yvonne Ramasar and Maureen Williams. Mark Doris, I see you there. Marlon Thomas, rather, and Nicole Cole, Commissioner Cole. Good to see you there. And all the other folks. Give us a share before you guys go. Smash that emoji button, folks, that others get valid and credible information as well. Don't be stingy. We want others to get valid and credible information as well. Good folks. And we encourage you guys to partner with us. You know, we don't run on water, and this is how we keep doing these programs, because of your love, because of your support, because of your generosity. Folks, we're able to do it, and that's why we say come partner with us. We're available via Cash App and Zelle and MMG, MoneyGram, Western Union. It's a long list just for your convenience. We don't say it in a braggadocious way. It's just for your convenience. Cash App and Zelle and PayPal, MMG, MoneyGram, and Western Union. Every cent, folks, goes towards expanding these programs. We've been out here 2+ years. We didn't believe we had it in us. But here we there with y'all. Because of y'all, 2 years plus, we out here. Thanks to you good folks. Ingrid Carter, we see you there. And Lennox Anderson, Rami Leander, we see you there. Brenda Braffett, y'all be like Rami. And Rami says, I share already. Y'all be like Rami Leander. Please and thank you, folks. Share the broadcast, smash that emoji button, and partner with us as well. We're privileged to have each and every one of you here, guys. Couldn't ask for a better audience. If you have a story for us, folks, that's the number. One number. You got a story for me? 627-6963. You got a business, you got a service, you got an event, folks. We got some space. You're right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. Thanks for joining us, each and every one of you. It's our privilege to have been here with you. It has been a privilege being here with you guys. And we're going to be back this evening. Final show for the day. In the ring at 8, folks. In the ring at 8. Right now, we below the belt. We below the belt. Good, folks. Good to see you guys. We're going to see you back this evening. Take good care. Share the damn live. Smash that emoji button, guys. And let me go down the road. You got a story for us? 627-6963. Thanks for joining us. We've walked through the trending issues. Yep. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe, folks. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. Peace and power.